Hello everyone, Pedersen here and welcome to Stage 3 of our Tour de France playthrough on the Tour de France 2026 game. Last stage saw Juan Ayuso regain the yellow jersey after Tadej Pogacar couldn't get any bonus seconds on Stage 2. Can we do the same today? It might be another difficult task because a long, medium mountain stage of 200 kilometers is ahead of us and it is going to be a real test for Juan Ayuso to cling on to his GC rivals. Jonas Vingegaard sits at 40 seconds, Remco Evenepoel at 23, but Tadej Pogacar at 9 seconds could well be in the yellow jersey at the end of today.
Hello and welcome everyone. After 2 stages in Spain, we're now heading to France on the Pyrenees Orientales. And of course, we can't be in the Pyrenees without encountering a few hills. The riders won't be facing a big mountain stage, but the changing elevations still mean they'll need good climbing skills for any chance of victory today.
Away we go then, and with such a long stage ahead of us, Matthias Vacek's objective is to get as many breakaway kilometers as possible to solidify his position as the super combative rider so far at this Tour de France, and he's going to immediately follow the attack of Kevin Vauquelin. Romain Gregoire and Jan Uijtdebroeks have done the same. Lennart van Eetvelt has joined us, and because the climbs aren't that steep on this course, I think we can keep up with the better climbers, so this is a really good breakaway to be in, especially if the numbers keep going up like they seemingly are doing. First climb of the day then, and the leading group have 2 minutes of an advantage on the peloton. We are 6 riders at the front of the race for the moment, but a group of 7, including Jonas Vingegaard, is trying to chase back up to us, but I think we're going to have the first King of the Mountains point to the front group, but can we take it with Matthias Vacek? There are plenty of better climbers than us, but I think we can compete with Kevin Vauquelin and Romain Gregoire for a sprint. We're going to latch onto the back, and we've got more than enough energy to plough our way through and try and get to the King of the Mountains point, and indeed, round the corners, well, we do. 5 points for Matthias Vacek in the King of the Mountains. We should be able to go 2 for 2 here at the intermediate sprint, but we're more interested in the 2 points behind going to Mads Pedersen because he's our sprinter's choice, but Vacek winning the intermediate sprint would not be too shabby either. We're going to come up the inside and try and get to the front of this breakaway group and lead it out, because then we know who's going to sprint and whether this group actually are going to contest the sprint points, and indeed they are doing. Romain Gregoire is off. He's going to be our main rival in this sprint, but we're sitting in the wheels at the moment. We're getting a bit blocked in by all of the climbers, but we've found a way to worm through, and we get there across the line for 20 points. And now we're going to go back to Mads Pedersen and try and compete for the minuscule amount of points from the peloton, and we're in good position, so there is a real chance that we could do this here, sat on the wheel of Kooi, and some of the sprinters have gone really early, so we've flown past them. It's us against Kooi, and in the drag race, Olav Kooi beats us to the 2 points, but we do pick up 1 from Mads Pedersen, and who knows, that 1 point might be vitally important at the end of the Tour de France, between winning the green jersey and finishing second. With Matthias Skjelmose in the King of the Mountains jersey at the moment, it is our job to take as many points off the rest of the breakaway as possible, but this second climb might be a little more difficult. 500 metres to the top, and we're going to try and follow Kevin Vauquelin, but look at that hill start on Vauquelin. He is far too good for us, but we are going to take second and take points away, but Vauquelin is the main danger now for the King of the Mountains jersey. The peloton, however, could very much help us out with that, as the gap is below 1.5 minutes with 66 kilometres remaining. As we cross over the border into France, I thought I'd show you my fantasy team so far at this Tour de France. I made a grave mistake in bringing Mathieu Van Der Poel into the team, but the rest of the team showed up. Tadej Pogacar was my captain, and Isaac Del Toro, the stage winner, was in my team, as was Alex Molenaar, who picked up 217 points. This team got far more points than Lucas and Tim Soski, which proves that I am the dominant TDF YouTuber. And to be honest, I think that arrogance has gone to my head because I've attacked with Matthias Skjelmose thinking that the peloton would give me a gap so I could get the King of the Mountains points. Vacek is doing a great job of driving this group on at the moment, but the peloton is giving us no leeway whatsoever. I think because we've got 2 riders up the road, but I'm going to keep ploughing on just in case the peloton suddenly decides that it's not their job to chase. But Visma Lease-A-Bike are keeping us on a very short leash at the moment. I don't think we're going to get to the top of this climb with Matthias Skjelmose, and I think we've burnt him. Well, since we've dropped Vacek, we keep on going and we keep on increasing the gap, but look at Skjelmose's blue energy. It has been a very tough stage, which is why we're already down to 57 riders in the peloton. Kevin Vauquelin is in the chase group, but we've got more energy than him, which is a bit of a surprise because we've not got much energy to begin with, but the peloton just keep on closing in, and these flat percentages are not good for Matthias Skjelmose, so it looks like we're not going to pick up any points with the King of the Mountains jersey, and we might be moving it over to either Vacek or Vauquelin at the end of the stage. Skjelmose, though, good performance on stage 2, attacking that descent. I was pretty impressed with him, but I obviously was more impressed with UAE Team Emirates getting the 1-2. But guys, who have you got to win stage 3? Let me know in the comments below. I don't think it would be Matthias Skjelmose today, but I am going to pick Ben Healy because it's a long, demanding route and we've seen him crush those little hills before. He's not had the best season this season, but he can kickstart it at the Tour de France. Okay, we've got a new plan. Because the stage is long and attritional, I've decided to go on the attack with a rider who loves a long and attritional stage. Tom Schoens has attacked out of the peloton, mainly to go and get the King of the Mountains points so nobody else does, but also it forces the other teams to work, and I've got plenty of energy with some of my team's riders. The likes of Mads Pedersen is somehow still in the peloton, probably thanks to the lower percentages, so we can use those guys up. Over the climb we go with Schoens, picking up 5 points, and we've got 30 seconds advantage. And that gap is slowly rising as we prove our credentials on the flat terrain, going further forward in front of the breakaway. But look on the left-hand side of your screen. Isaac Del Toro, the white jersey, has been dropped. I don't know how, because his stats are very high, but Jai Hindley is the other favourite that has been dropped from the group. So some of these GC guys are already struggling on the penultimate climb of the day. Juan Ayuso has plenty of energy, it's just whether he can keep up with the accelerations of Tadej Pogacar towards the end of the stage. But the gap right now is ballooning, and that's because it's Tom Schoens against Florian Lipovitz on flat terrain. 6 kilometers to go and the gap is 1 minute. Quentin Pache tried an attempt to get across, but he could not do so, and Schoens is on his own at the front of the race. The objective this tour will be to get a deserved stage win to add to his career CV, but whether we do that or not, we have tired out plenty of the big team's domestiques, and it is time for Juan Ayuso to try his best and follow the attacks of the favourites. Here we go then. Tom Schoens is on his own at the front, but the percentages are about to get much steeper, and that is not his terrain. He prefers what he's on at the moment, which is flat and false flat rising roads after hard stages, and you can't see the peloton behind him, so Schoens does have a significant gap as he heads on to the first of the steep percentages now. Look at the road rise as Tom Schoens tries to attack this climb, but the peloton are moving at a rate of knots trying to catch him, and the Latvian rider could be reeled in here before the climb is even complete. There he goes, reeled in by the peloton, and immediately Tadej Pogacar sees that and goes. He lights the match, and Paul Seixas is the one that's trying to follow. The Decathlon rider has already reeled in Schoenge. He's already done a hard effort at the front, and it's Remco Evenepoel and Jonas Vingegaard that can also go with Pogacar. But we're heading towards the finish now, and nobody's got anything left in the tank at the moment. Tadej Pogacar leads the way across the finish, and he raises his arms. Juan Ayuso just about stays in the leading group. Well, there we have it. On a stage where the percentages weren't that high, only a group of 5 crossed the line in the lead. Tadej Pogacar was the leader of that group of 5, but Remco Evenepoel, Jonas Vingegaard, Paul Seixas, and most importantly, Juan Ayuso were in the group. But Ayuso's 5th place on the stage means that Tadej Pogacar moves into the lead of the general classification, and he will lead by just 1 second because of those 10 bonus seconds that he picked up for winning the stage. So here are the results in full then. Pogacar wins the stage ahead of Jonas Vingegaard, Paul Seixas, Remco Evenepoel and Juan Ayuso. We take good time on some of the GC outsiders, especially the likes of Isaac Del Toro, but also Florian Lipovitz, who was used up chasing Tom Schoen. So we had a strategy that seemed to work there, even if we've lost the yellow jersey. We do retain white because we stayed well ahead of Seixas in the overall classification, but we've lost the yellow jersey. That goes to Tadej Pogacar, who leads the way now by 1 second ahead of Juan Ayuso in second. Remco Evenepoel stays third, with Jonas Vingegaard moving up to 4th, and Paul Seixas, the first rider, more than a minute down in 5th. That will end today's episode of the Tour de France, and I hope you enjoyed the offensive gameplay that Lidl-Trek put on. If you did so, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and stay safe, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.